Somewhere on a beach in far-flung Patagonia is a group of male elephant seals, and they're battling it out for the great privilege of being able to seed the next generation of their species. The ones that win are sometimes called beach masters or harem masters, and the losers of such conflicts are forced to scamper away to find another area to define as their territory. The males arrive ahead of the females, usually several days before the females, after the males have established their dominance hierarchy. Sometimes, the less dominant males try to sneak in and ambush the females, but this is rarely successful. And this game plays itself out every year during winter, again and again and again. Of the male elephant seal population, approximately 1% of all males actually succeed at reproduction. But the cycle repeats itself, mindlessly driven as it is by nature. And there's a national game reserve in East Africa called Masai Mara in Kenya, where a coalition of male lions is staking out a foreign pride. They spot the males, they attack and kill the males, and then, rather systematically, kill and eat every cub that belonged to the former reigning males, which is to say, had been sired by the former reigning males, which then forces the resident females into estrus and ready to breed. No cares are given to the slain or eaten cubs. And in some species of arthropods, such as spiders and some mantis species, the practice of sexual cannibalism is not unheard of. The males of such species are usually smaller and weaker, and sometimes they serve as a meal for the females. For example, the female black widow, a spider species where this can occur, is some 30 times the size of the male. Of course, there's a reason why males often willingly offer themselves up as meals for females. It's been shown that sexual encounters last longer if the male allows himself to be cannibalized. By sacrificing his life, he can fill his partner with more sperm. The female keeps that sperm in 2 storage organs and can control where she uses those stockpiled cells to fertilize her eggs. If she mates again, the second male sperm might displace those of the first now deceased suitor. But it has been demonstrated that females that eat their first mate are more likely to reject the subsequent one. In the end, by committing so-called copulatory suicide, the males guarantee their future paternity, and females are not very common to begin with, and many males die while searching for a female. When the odds of finding more than one partner are low, the costs of giving up your life to the first mate are relatively minimal. But other things have been discovered as well. Certain widow species of spiders, the brown widow for example, a way of circumventing this copulatory suicide, which involves males sneakily inserting small holes into immature females who nonetheless are reproductively viable and inseminating them. And whilst this does not always work, it ensures that at least some males who do succeed at reproduction are not eaten. And in a far more traumatic series of actions, certain species of insects, such as bedbugs, engage in something called traumatic insemination, in which the male uses his genitalia to pierce the abdominal wall of the female, creating a wound and inseminating the body cavity. This almost entirely redounds to the benefit of the male bedbug, because the traumatic insemination results in last male sperm precedence, meaning that other males will be less likely to get a chance at mating with the female in question after copulation has occurred, suboptimal remating frequencies for the maintenance of female fertility, and overall reduced longevity and reproductive success in females. Traumatic insemination in this context is a oppositional male copulatory strategy that results in a sexual conflict of interest. Furthermore, the male's ejaculate carries toxins within it to neutralize the sperm of other males, but these toxins are also fairly dangerous to the female. And I could go on, citing multiple other species, but I think the examples cited thus far are more than sufficient. For at this point in time, you are likely asking yourself why I would be talking about elephant seals and widow spiders and lions and bedbugs. Well, it has a purpose, and it's all for the simple reason of demonstrating some of the odder ways that reproduction and consequently fitness plays out in nature in some types of animals. When I speak of fitness, I'm of course not talking about the popular use of the term found in sporting circles, or more appropriately, so-called fitness circles. I'm not talking about being lean or athletic or strong or fast, but rather I'm using the term in its evolutionary sense. In the evolutionary sense, fitness simply means reproductive success, and reflects how well an organism is adapted to its environment. There are different ways to measure fitness, for example. Absolute fitness, for example, measures the ratio of a given genotype before and after selection, whereas relative fitness measures differential reproductive success, i.e., the proportion of the next generation's gene pool that is descended from a particular genotype compared with other competing genotypes. Specifically here, we are interested primarily in so-called differentiated reproductive fitness, or relative fitness. And as alluded to earlier, this kind of fitness, differential reproductive success, doesn't necessarily depend on traits such as strength and speed. Reproductive success can also be achieved by way of colorful displays, sneak fertilization, or mimicry, and a host of other strategies that don't correspond to the common notion of quote-unquote physical fitness, such as the strategies of some widow spiders and male bedbugs. It's important to realize that the fittest organisms in a particular context won't necessarily be the ones that satisfy our social norms or ideals, or our expectations for that matter. And what is important to highlight here is the fact that strategies that lead to individual reproductive fitness can be counterproductive across the sexes within the same species, which is to say, the fitness strategy of one sex can be deleterious to the opposite sex, meaning that what is sometimes presented, at least in humans, as a perfect glove-fits-on-hand coexistence of cooperation and harmony needn't be, and often is not. And this stems from the fact that reproductive strategies will be both outlined and defined, and most importantly, limited by the restrictions put on the one sex in contrast to the other sex. And this, in some sense, though not in the conventional notion, creates intersexual competition, i.e. between or across the sexes, when there is often presupposed to be only intrasexual competition, i.e. within the same sex. Now, right now, you might be thinking, hold up, human apes are not bed bugs or elephant seals or any number of species where this might be applicable. And you would be right. Human apes are human apes. And we need to examine separate pressures that exist for us and how these manifest themselves for us, for human females and human males. We need to be aware of certain basic principles, the fact that sperm are cheap and eggs are expensive. We need to be aware of this and many other things. In a modern social context, this can be made manifest in a number of ways. For example, the eternal problem of paternity assurance and the legal system which gives preferential treatment to women, even when it's been demonstrated that the child was not fathered by the man in question, which ultimately stems from the asymmetry of knowing you are the parent, i.e. the woman, versus not knowing you are the man. An emergent market, for example, of the sort that empowers and promotes things such as OnlyFans and the like, which gives a distinct advantage to a perceived shortage of an availability of a certain resource, i.e. sex, which at some point in time in the past was, in very real terms, in a state of limited availability. And of course, the many asymmetries that emerge in marital unions, where the man yields up his freedom and preferences to make peace with the different needs, wants, and requirements of a woman. Because men and women, fundamentally, at the level of personality, want very different things. And there's a lot more I could go over in this regard. But the point I want to make here is that human apes are different from other animals in a myriad of salient ways. In particular, the seeming fact that we alone, amongst the animals, are reasonably sapient and reasonably sentient, and therefore, even though it needn't, a natural conflict can emerge between the needs brought on by fitness and the needs that are only peripherally related to fitness, if at all. And this applies to both men and women. Women are relentlessly driven by their hypergamy to optimize, improve, and find better mating prospects. And this is a demand of fitness that has been seeded within them by untold generations of previously fit individual females whose reproductive strategy was reified and reinforced again and again and again. But always in environments, the further back you travel, that could be summarized as being closer to what one might term ancestral. And this is all well and good, but the net effect of this is that in the modern environment, women, as has been noted countless times, are less happy than they used to be. And some would posit less so than ever. Because climbing the hypergamy ladder in a modern context means constant exposure to bigger and better mating opportunities. Or better put, the perception thereof, because most of these opportunities aren't real or attainable to begin with, which has the very acute downside of a never-ending cycle of fitness-driven disappointments that only end when the opportunities end as the woman reaches an age when such undertakings are no longer viable. Thus, the modern woman finds herself in a trap, not of her own making, because she is being driven by genes and evolutionary pressures that push her in a direction to pursue things that broadly lead to a perpetual state of discontentment. Fitness in this way is not working for her as a distinct person, opposed to an organism following its pre-programming. And what of men? Men don't suffer from hypergamy, but fitness has also entrapped men in a different way. The ever-present and libidinous drive to seek out new and fresh sexual encounters, with appearance and its correlations to fertility being the main driver. Well, much of that can be explained with the phrase post-cum clarity. I'm sure you all know that one. What happens after the pursuit and so-called exaltation? You come back to earth, of course. But that's only part of it. More to the point, when a man envisions a female he actually might like, that is oftentimes not fitness speaking, as in one he might actually get along with, share interests with, and pass the time with. The actual person he is typically seeking is oftentimes vastly different from the more static image that the demands of fitness are laying before him. And frequently, the idealized female has virtually nothing in common with the actual mating and dating game. Evolution has loaded us with conflicting software and hardware, in the sense that the hardware, i.e. fitness, more often than not overrides the software, i.e. personal desires born of being a distinct person and entity from the requirements of fitness. What you want, as in what you as an individual man and person want, can easily be completely distinct from what your genes are pushing you to do. Fitness as a dictating principle is not mindless per se, but it is distant and removed from your own personal desires at times. So much so, and so all-encompassing its directives can be, that you will likely waste years, if not decades, of your life pursuing something that is altogether distinct from the particulars of your individual needs and wants and personality. At best, fitness is a distant and cold overseer of your behavior, a relentless taskmaster, pushing you in a certain direction. At worst, it can be something as alien to you as a creature from outer space might be. And in the end, fitness does not care about you. It does not care about what you want, who you are, what you need. It is only the selfish gene that is operative. But uniquely among animals, we do on occasion have the ability to decouple ourselves from this, and then, if only for a brief moment in time, catch a very small glimpse into something that is at times as rare as hen's teeth, what you, the individual, as distinct from every internal and collective urge thrust upon you, might want and grasp. We're not lions or elephant seals or bed bugs, but we do find ourselves in a box that is at least partly escapable, and it can only be to your own benefit. Fitness does not care about what you want, which is ultimately why you do have to care about what you want. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe if you've not yet done so. Leave a like, a share, and please hit that bell icon to get notified for forthcoming videos. As this channel operates off of the generosity and contributions of its subscribers, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Any and all support is more than appreciated. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.